Oh, I know what you're waiting for, and that is why I am here. I got you. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of my journey series, whereby we bring you impactful stories, we bring you stories of change, stories of transformation, educational stories just for you, stories of the unsung heroes in the society. And I am your amazing host, Bonfire the King. Stay tuned. And with me today, I have this amazing guest. She calls herself God's Girl. She is a pastor, she is an author, and she has an organization for young teenage moms, and so much more that we are yet to uncover. Welcome to the amazing story of Pastor Wahu Wanjiku. Karibu.
Hi, good people. How are you? So my name is Wahu Wanjiku. I am a mother to a teenager now. He's 18-year-old. I know. I can see you all rolling your eyes like, how does she have an 18-year-old? I know he's 18. My pride and joy. I think the greatest gift that I have in life really is being his mom. I am the second born to a family of 4. So I have 3 brothers. One is older and then 2 younger ones. So I am the only girl of my mother. Yes, Mimi. And I'm a pastor. I know. Now you are rolling your eyes even further. You're like, how is she even a pastor? Yes, I am a pastor. I've been doing this for the last 10 years. But I'll tell you about it a little later. But for now, I think what you need to know is I grew up in Rongai, a place called Kware. I know, I look like Karen materials, but Kware is Karen view. Like we see Karen. Hapo tu chini, tunaangalianga Karen. Yes, that's where I grew up, and I went to school, to a public school. I know, my accent, in like a group of schools and everything. But yes, I grew up, went to a public school, Naken Primary School to be specific. And then later I went to high school, many high schools, because I have, many high schools. But a little bit about my primary school days. For those who went to school with me know that I was a popular girl, but for all the right things, especially in my primary school years. I got born again, gave my life to Christ as a little girl. I can't even remember, maybe I must have been 9 or 10, and I loved Jesus fearlessly. So I was very popular in our schools because ule msichana wa kuimba parade ndo huyu, you know, the girl who volunteers to pray, every time, every day, I was the girl, and I completely loved it. I loved Jesus. Yani, when other guys were taking the break to eat lunch and everything else, I was the girl who would go to pray during that time. Like, I'd take the lunch hour to just go and pray and cry to God. And right now, when I'm older, I keep wondering, what was I crying about? Because I remember crying to God a lot. Anyway, that girl grows up and she finishes primary school, and then she transitions to high school. But there's a bit of a crazy that happens during that transition. And so the praying girl, the church girl, the very nice girl, yes, becomes the teenage mom. But again, sinikuwape your story later. But later on, she grows up and God intends for her to do something that she had never even imagined. Because if you had told my parents or my family or even myself that one day I'd become a pastor, I think I would have laughed like crazy, because it wasn't anywhere in my plans. But God is interesting like that. He weaves our stories and he allows us to walk journeys that we had not anticipated or even knew were possible, but he gets us in purpose. And I am so glad that the last 10 years of my life have been spent serving him in church at Nairobi Chapel Rongai. I joined the internship program. Now, Nairobi Chapel has an internship program called Kinara. It's 1 year. So when I was joining, really what I was joining is the Kinara program. I knew I was signing up to give God 1 year of my life, to serve him, do whatever it is that he wanted. I was giving him 1 year. But Mungu ni nani? 1 year has turned to 10 years, and here we are. Okay, I remember the days people started calling me pastor. Honestly, I would want to hide. Like, I remember this specific time, I'm in the supermarket looking all hot and everything nice, you know, just being me. And then I am shopping, and then someone sees me from a distance. They were worshiping with us at the time and calls me pastor from afar. And I remember feeling like telling them to shut up, because I was like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. I don't look like a pastor. Everyone will begin to judge me. But I've got grown those days, and I love being pastor. I love being called pastor. I've grown into it, and I completely love it. Anyway, back to introduction. So where were we? High school, I went to 3 specific ones. Form 1, I went to Temple Road High School in Nairobi, katikati ya city pale. And that is where I really, quote unquote, matured into becoming a Nairobi girl. Did that for 1 year, and during that 1 year, a lot changed about me. You know, teenage peer pressure and everything, and church girl stopped being church girl. She stopped going to church as frequently. She stopped praying as frequently. And manze, there was a lot of pressure studying in the middle of CBD, you know, wanting to fit in. And I did some things that when I look back were not me. And my mother began to notice, because she was like, wait, you know, I was changing skirts pale, you know, stage. You have the 6-piece skirt that your mother bought you, but because you want to slay and look hot, I had a shorter one, you know, the one I was going to school with, and I thought I'm so smart, and my mom would not know, but she found out. And so after that first year, she decided, you know what, this one, she needs to go to a boarding school. So I transitioned to a boarding school. I'll talk to you about the transition of this boarding school again a little later, because all these things I'm saying a little later have a lot of juice and things in it. But I went to a boarding school then. I didn't even last a year. I think I lasted about 8 months in the boarding school. And then girl came back on holiday, I think in August. And yeah, she was with child in September. Yes. And that is how my journey of boarding school ended. And I had to come back and to stay at home, take care of my child. And later, I went back to a day school to be able to finish my high school. Yes, that's a little bit about me. But as I said, I joined Chapel in 2013. The intention was to do the 1 year. And then after 1 year, I really had enjoyed it. So I continued to do a training we call pastoral training. I thought, again, 1 more year of pastoral training, and then I'll see you, and I really like it. And then I did the pastoral training, and then there was something called ministry training after the 1 year. So I did that, and it was 3 years down the line, and then I had completely fallen in love with this thing. I could not imagine my life doing anything else. Like, it was impossible for me to imagine working somewhere corporately. I had always envisioned myself as this successful business person. But after these 3 years, I knew that I wanted to be in no other business than in the business of souls. So yeah, after the 3 years, I became a full staff member at Nairobi Chapel, specifically Rongai, and I served in different capacities. I began as a discipleship admin. I did social justice, and then later became the discipleship pastor for Nairobi Chapel for several years, until about 2 years ago when I transitioned to lead a church plant for young adults called Activation, where I've been totally loving it. And it's been the joy of my life this 10 years, like really amazing stuff. So I am excited to be here. I am excited to share my journey with you. I hope, and I really hope that you can be able to learn from my mistakes, learn from my wins, really learn from my journey, because yeah, it's been a beautiful journey of grace, a beautiful journey of a girl loved by a God, a beautiful journey of parenting as a single person, a beautiful journey of what it means to be in ministry as a young lady who is actually single. So I really do hope that you get to learn from this. Yeah.
Welcome back, our dear viewers. Welcome to the amazing story of Pastor Wahu Wanjiku. Wow, she is an amazing pastor, an amazing storyteller, Pia. And we are here for the juice, also. yeah, hata mi nataka kusikiza hii story sana sana ya teenage mom. Yeah, so Pastor Wahu, you told us you are a teenage mom, and I saw somewhere in your stories that you got pregnant at age 15. Tell us more about it. How was it?
Yani, when you say it out loud like that, it sounds crazy. Like 15 is a baby.
It actually does.
But really, yes, I did get pregnant at 15. That's how come my son is 18 now. What do you want to know about it, Bonfire? Where do I begin? Like, you want the whole journey?
Yeah, like the whole journey of the pregnancy.
Okay.
Yeah.
As I said earlier, church girl, okay?
Yeah.
She grew up, all her primary years. I'd hear girls talk about boyfriends and stuff, and I'd wonder. I'd think of them as these very evil people because hizo tabia mmetoa wapi? Anyway, as I said, I joined a high school in town, and what that does, it starts to expose you to a different world.
Yeah.
So I met someone, and I didn't meet them in school. I actually met them. They were my neighbors. So between me joining high school, you'd finish class 8 in like December there, and then the results would be out. Back then, we would get to high school around maybe end of January or beginning of February.
Actually, it was the last bunch.
Yes. That's all you are.
Yeah, you are.
That is the time you go to school. So when everyone else, and I did well, I actually passed. I got different offers to go to different schools, and I was really, really excited. Like, one of the things that I had believed when I was young, it was actually the motto for our primary school is education is the key to success.
Yeah.
Okay, so I didn't grow up very privileged. So having grown up from the background that I did, I knew I wanted to succeed. And I had said education is the key to
success.
So I really, really wanted to get this education because it's the key to success.
You wanted to succeed?
I wanted to succeed for sure. But the January comes and I am looking forward to school. Letters are coming, we're excited, and everyone else is being admitted to school. And then, I'm bringing my letters to my mom, I'm trying to show her. And I noticed she wasn't as excited. And I remember at first wondering, okay, is it that she's not excited about the schools or what is it? Anyway, around February, now all my peers in the neighborhood are going to school. People are buying boxes. There's just an excitement for people are transitioning.
School,
But I realized my mom is not talking about it. Whenever I talked to her about it, she'd get a bit agitated. So I decided to have a tough conversation with her, and I was like, Mom, I'm not understanding. I wanted to go to a boarding school so much. And that is when she actually told me, you know what? She was struggling financially. She's not in a good place, and it was not possible for me to go to school
at all.
At all. What? And that broke my heart. You see the way you said what?
Yeah,
that broke my heart so much. I had not anticipated it. I felt like God was taking away that very thing, the number one thing that I had prayed for the most. Because among the things I had trusted God for, prayed for, fasted for when I was in primary school, is that I'd get a good education, so that eventually I'm able to get this success. Exactly. So it felt like she was crushing my dreams. And in my young mind, I wasn't able to process that she just wasn't able to. As I felt like she was denying me an opportunity. And so, to cut the long story short, I didn't go to school until second term of Form 1. Now, that's how come I went into this high school that I went to in town instead. But why I'm telling you the story of how I went to high school is, during the time that I was home, my siblings were in school. Like, my younger brothers were in primary, my older brother, I think at the time, was in Form 4. And of course, my mom was going to work. So I was primarily the person who was left at home every day. And you see, I am heartbroken. All my friends, all my peers have gone to high school. Like, the neighborhood is dead silent. I didn't even like to go out because, people are asking, Ujaenda shule? So I'd wake up, do the house chores and read and sit. And then one of the things I had fallen in love with as a young girl is reading. And I loved reading novels and everything because it allowed me to see a different world, exposed me to places I know I would not have physically gone to. So I buried myself in novels. After I do my house chores, I'd read. And of course, these novels, I even read rated ones, like there was no boundary. Because I wasn't buying yenye ndapewa, nikiomba yenye napewa. So that's how I spent my time. And then I remember one of these days, it's Valentine's. I remember it's Valentine's because I'm seated outside our house and I'm reading, standing our garden, like a small garden. And then my neighbor, who was across, like opposite house, shouts my name. And then now I should let you know, I was not allowed to say hi to anybody or talk to anybody for as long as I can remember. My mom is 2 lionesses and a tiger in a woman. Okay?
Yeah.
If she says something, I believe it. I mean it. People who know me from my neighborhood used to think either I'm prideful or something or arrogant. I wouldn't say hi, but they didn't know me. I was trying to be an obedient girl, following the instructions of my mother. So I had known this guy because they had been my neighbor for a long time, but we had never interacted. But on this specific day, he waves, says hi, and as he's waving, he has a bunch of flowers. And that's how come I remember it's Valentine's. And I remember thinking, cute. And so he said hi, and I say hi back, and he's like, what are you reading? And I showed him, and then we struck our first conversation at that point. It was supposed to be an innocent conversation. And he told me that he loved novels too. So I was like, okay. And you remember, it's not like I had money to buy my own novels, so I used to borrow. So he told me, after you've read that, we can exchange. And I was like, good deal. Good deal. Anyway, we began a friendship. At the time, for me, it seemed like just an innocent friendship. But now, because we have continued to talk, you remember my schedule for before was I do house chores and then sit outside and read. Now that changed. These days, I do house chores and then cross the road and go read from their place because so that we can chat about the book, but also because I realize it's good company. Anyway, my mom won't even know because nobody's home, and so I started doing that. And each time I'd go to their neighborhood, they would have other young people in their neighborhood. I think they had many friends, and the family had like 10 brothers. So it was a big family. So I'd go hang out with them, and whenever I was with them, I felt so special because they were like, the church girl. They made me feel like it's such a privilege to have me in their presence. So I really, really loved it. That's how, in the midst of our conversation, that's how one of them asked, why don't you go to school? And I explained to them. And then they're the ones who told me about this high school in town that they used to go to and their sisters used to go to and everything. Later connected me to the high school. So you see how their friendship really grew. Like I was able to tell my mom about it. And so a real friendship grew out of that. And I really, really enjoyed it. But I should mention, you see the guy who showed me flowers the first day, the guy I started exchanging novels with.
The neighbor next door.
Yes, that guy. Now, that guy, we had been talking for a long time. And then one day, my mom sent me to the shop. So I decided to pass through their home because now we'd become friends. And I remember meeting him, they had 2 gates, like the front gate and the back gate. I remember meeting him at the front gate, and we had a chat, and then I continued. And then, something strange happened. I met him again at the back gate. But this time he was looking completely different. The guy I had met on the front gate was in shorts, casual, someone who was just at home. And then at the other gate, I met someone who he looked like he was coming from town, officially looking, tactile, and I remember being completely confused. I was like, wait, we just met. And he's like, no, we are coming from town right now. And I'm like, what do you mean? And it was all crazy. And I was like, no, we have just spoken. And it was like, no, it's not me. So I remember us going back and I finding the guy there, and there's this guy, and wondering, okay, wait, what I hadn't known all along, that they're identical twins. And so at the time I didn't even know who I used to talk to, who is my friend, who isn't.
They're so identical.
Kabisa, and you wouldn't tell. Okay, now that I know them, I'm able to tell, but you wouldn't tell. And I remember asking them, who is my friend, and all of them were like, it's me. So, So I have met these 2 guys, and as I continue to get to know them now, I realized that in personality I could distinguish them. The guy who at first waved flowers at me is very extroverted, had many stories. The other guy was a bit cooler, calm and everything else. And me, this girl, she is all about, are you out there? Calm, cool, and collected. Did I mention, but then did I say I'm single?
Ako soko.
Sana yuko soko huyu. So, honestly, because I talk a lot and I am out there, I think I'm really attracted to cool, calm, and collected. At the time, I didn't even think it's attraction because I didn't even know it. But I really felt like I liked the cool, calm, and collected guy a lot more. And so, fast forward, I have gone to high school, and then they were like in Form 4 or something. So we'd meet in town, and it became a ritual. We meet in town after school, we come back home together, and already I had picked a favorite among the twins. And as I say, the calm, cool, and collected guy was the guy that had come back home with. And for a whole year, that's what we did. So during this year, one of the things that happened is I stopped going to church completely. I mean, I was like, God let me down, and I was feeling like when I needed him, he wasn't there. But these found friendships, when I needed them, they were there.
They're the ones who found a school for you.
Exactly. They held me down when I needed them. They comforted me. I was like, this is now my life. And as I said earlier, my mom began to notice that something about me was changing, in how I was dressing. And she just picked up things. I never read the Bible as often. I don't talk about church events anymore. And so she had gotten to a place where she was a bit financially able. So I remember December, she told me after that year that finally I would go to a boarding school.
Your dream.
My dream, exactly, my dream. And I remember being excited, and I was like, okay, finally, it's happening for me. I am about to get the real key to success. Because I knew that if you go to boarding school, you're going to be able to focus fully in school. And that is what was my intention. So excited, we shopped, did everything else Form 1 people did, but now at this point I'm doing it at Form 2. Yes, the transition to Form 2. So I shopped everything, and I remember as clear as day, January 5th of 2004. I know!
Mark the dates.
I am old! Oh my God. January, yes, 2004. I remember the date particularly very like yesterday. So my mom and I go shopping, and we finish. We come back home, and it's about 6 p.m. And she looks at everything, the list of the school, we had been given to the school I was going, and then she noticed we had forgotten one thing. Okay? And I remember her giving me instructions and telling me, you know what, you need to run now because we intended to leave for school very early in the morning. Next morning. So she was like, I'm giving you time to run, go to the supermarket, buy this thing, and come back.
Come back running.
The whole time, it had been like a week. I had not been able to see my friends because we were busy at home. My mom was like bumper with me. Things, and up to this moment, my mom had not known that, I hang out with these people or anything. But in my head, I was like, teenage me thought, this is my opportunity. There's no way I'm going to school without saying goodbye. Like how now? So I took the time. I was like, okay. So I got out of our gate, crossed to the other side. And as usual, as I said earlier, this home usually had friends and people around. There's never a time I had gone where there was like nobody or just one person. It was always a crowd.
And that is what you enjoyed.
Yes.
You enjoyed the company.
Until this moment. So I go and I find, you know how people make like my house, a main house, and then those guys, there's like houses where the guys stay. So these guys had such a house outside where the boys would stay, and that's where the friends would hang out. So I went to this extension, and it was quieter than usual. So I knock, and I find it is my guy, quote unquote.
The dream guy, the
cool,
calm and collected.
My friend, and he's like, okay, hi. And so I get in, I was like, I'm going to boarding school, and I'm leaving tomorrow, and I didn't want to go without saying goodbye. And he's like, oh my God. So we decided we're hugging to say goodbye. And I don't know how or when. I can't even tell you the details, guys. But it is this hug that in 5 minutes, okay, come on, it's only 10 minutes. In 10 minutes, I don't even know what happened. But what I remember is me leaving that place completely shocked, completely unsure of what just happened, completely feeling like I had let myself down because this was out of character for me and who I had believed to be. And so the next day, and I felt like I'd let my mom down, all these emotions. So I just ran to the supermarket, got what I needed to get, went back home, took a shower, and made a commitment in my head that tomorrow I'm going to school. This is going to be behind me. It was a mistake. This guy will never see me again. Done. We are over. And truly, that's what happened. The next day, I went to school and began my dream life. And when I got to school, I was serious about it. I really wanted to succeed, and I really wanted to make my mama proud. So I got to school. I was that, a student where all you do is you study, focus on your studies, and do nothing else. I wasn't worried or concerned at any point. I felt like God had given me another chance. So even when I went back to school, I sort of recommitted to Christ again. I was praying. I was getting myself back on track until. Ask me until what?
Until, let me even sit upright. Until?
No. So now, I know many girls, if they got pregnant, they would know in their first month or second month or something. Now, I am the girl who found out she was pregnant 7 months later.
7 months?
I know it's ridiculous. 7 months later. And this is how. Now, you're a boy, you may not understand, but I'm sure I have some lady viewers who are watching who may get this. So, as a 15-year-old, I had just begun to experience menstruation in my late 14, I think when I was late 14, yes. And I remember I had my periods and then they disappeared. And I told my mom, and she took me to hospital, and we were told that as a teenager, you have a lot of hormonal imbalances that are happening. So she was told, don't worry about it. She's okay. They'll come back when they do. So when this time I went back to school and the periods did come, I wasn't worried. I knew this happens to me.
It has happened before.
It has happened.
It's nothing.
Yes, it has happened to me before. So I didn't worry. I didn't think about it. And then in my naive mind, I could not even have imagined. I was like, was that sex? Because if that was sex, then I didn't like it. I didn't enjoy it. I was like, no, that was not it. So, you didn't have sex. How can you be pregnant? It wasn't anywhere in my mind. Right. So I continued with school as usual until one fateful evening. So I was in a mixed school, by the way. So I, preps za jioni.
The 9.
Yes. Sasa mimi sana chopina focusing in education. So I remember sitting down and we are studying, and I felt something in the inside of me, and I did that. And I remember my neighbor, there was a guy asking me, Hailey, are you okay? And I didn't know what to tell them, so I lied. I was like, oh, there's a shadow that has passed. It was like, I got you. Anyway, after that, I remember going back to the dormitory, completely concerned. I was like, what was that? And I got my biology book out. Oh, when I remember that, I was like, I was so naive. I was so naive. I was like, let me read. I was like, there's that, what over fetus? And I started reading. And I was like, but if you are pregnant, you must have nausea. You must have all these signs and symptoms they talk about for pregnancy. And I didn't have any of them. So I was like, I can't be pregnant because I didn't experience nausea. I didn't experience all these things. So it's not pregnancy. But however, there's something happening inside. I couldn't deny that. And let me tell you, Bonfire, when a baby starts to kick, I don't know, they start one day, now they kick all the time. Because I remember after that, it kept happening. And I was absolutely stressed. And then stressed but in denial.
Yeah.
As stressed, I knew something was going on, but I didn't want to accept it. So I decided I am not going to believe it, so I shrugged it behind.
It's not pregnancy, and I'm not believing it.
No.
And life continues.
To do, with my life and everything else. And then that's about July. And then there was midterm coming. So, about a week after that, midterm is coming. So I came back home. And I should mention that at this point, I've always been like a boom girl, bigger. I don't know, maybe I'll give you a photo. Maybe you're able to show it or something. So I didn't look pregnant. When I went home, I used to wear shorts, spag tops. And when I went back home, I was the same. Nothing different about my physical appearance. Nothing had changed. But remember when I went to school, one of the commitments I had made is that I was not going to see that guy again. So I wasn't talking to him. I was spending my time at home. When I'm at home, like I'm fully in the house, doing nothing else. And I'd started going back to church and everything. And even this time, that's what I was doing. But these guys had a sister, okay? The twins had a sister who had become a friend. And I remember bumping into her. And she was like, oh, it's been a long time. She's like, Connie, what happened? You and my brothers, you don't come anymore. And because I felt I could trust her, I was like, So I told her what happened that January the 5th. Said this happened and it made me feel all this. And so I made a decision not to be. And she was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And then, I don't know, I just felt I could trust her. And I told her, last week in school, certain things happened. I don't know what's going on, but I'm okay. And I remember her looking at me, so shocked. She was like, what happened? So I told her, she was like, you're not worried you're pregnant? I was like, no,
I'm not. You're still in denial.
I'm not pregnant. But I made her promise not to talk to anybody about what I told her, you know. And she made a promise, which I can tell you now, she didn't keep.
Of course.
Anyway, later, so she was concerned. She was older than me, so I think she knew better. She went and talked to her brother. And of course, after, the short mid-term break for high school is like 3-4 days.
Yeah.
After 3-4 days, me, I went back to school. And I remember there was visiting that was coming up. So my brother was supposed to visit me, but I don't know how this guy convinced him to carry him along, and they came
to your school.
To my school. And I remember seeing them at the gate, and I was like, oh my God, what are they doing together? And anyway, he would come to ask, he would come to tell me, I had this from my brother, from my sister, is it true? And of course, what did I do again? I denied. I was like, your sister is a liar. I did not say anything like that. I am, and he went back to school. Now, this is July coming into August, okay? So, if I got pregnant January 5th, we are already hitting our 8th month.
Our 8th, yeah.
So, at this point, I am sure something is wrong. Like, something is completely wrong because the baby has continued kicking. After the conversation with the brother, and I deny, a week after that, again, I'm told that my auntie has come to visit me. Now, my mother has only one sister, who is my aunt. She would never come to visit me randomly.
So you were so sure it was not
her.
her.
I was like, my auntie. And then the principal's office, they have come. So I said, let me just go. And then I go and I find this lady and I find the guy. So it's the lady and the twins, and so I knew, and it's the older sister. She was trying to look like a mama and everything. And they gave a sob story about who had died and all this. And I went along with it. I just went along with it. And they were given permission to have me out of school. When I went out of school, we stepped out and they were like, this is the reality is you're pregnant and we know your mom. And as I told you, my mom is two lionesses, not even one, and a tiger inside there. And she was known in the neighborhood to be really, really tough. So they're like, the consequences are dire. We know how much you want to pursue education. A baby is an inconvenience to all of us, to you, to us, to your mother. It's a shame. I mean, it's nothing you want. And in that moment, that's true. I didn't want a baby. I wanted education. I wanted to pursue my future. So whatever they were proposing seemed to be really everything I wanted. I want to cut the long story short because it's long. What they were proposing for me is to have an abortion. What? Yeah, which we tried, okay? We tried, but I tried, I think out of the pressure from, all they were convincing me. But I remember, you're trying something and then you're telling God, please help me. And in that moment, I knew that I didn't want to do it, but yet it looked like the only way to do it. But God is merciful that He made sure that it didn't happen. The doctor we were supposed to go see was busted on the night of the morning we were going to see. Like, we saw him on TV. Literally. The way they feature this abortion, docs, whatever. He was featured on that day, and it's the doctor they wanted to take me to. So that's how God rescued my baby boy. That was God. Oh my! I know it was God. And then after seeing that, I was so scared, and I remember threatening them and telling them, you know what? You take me to school and you take me now, or I'm out of here. So I went back to school, and then came back for August holiday. And 2 weeks after I'm back, my mom got to find out that I'm pregnant. There's a lot of details to that. I don't even want to talk about right now. But she was so shocked. It wasn't showing. She couldn't believe it. And so a month, actually, literally, I've come back to school in August because my child is born in September. So I've come back. My mom has just been hit with this life-changing news that I'm pregnant. And not only pregnant, but I could be getting my baby in like a matter of weeks. And the next few weeks, my baby was born. And I remember that season being the most devastating season of my life. At that point, I honestly knew my life is over. There was no, I knew my dream, success
was shattered.
Was not going to be. I didn't even know if I was ever going to pursue education again. I had all these many dreams. I had always, the person I always knew I wanted to become. I mean, the shame of letting down my mom, letting myself down. letting the whole community down, and even feeling like I let God down. It was a lot. I can say this was like the darkest season of my life. I wasn't ready to be a parent. I didn't know what being a parent meant. I had never held a baby, literally a small baby, like all my life. And the proceedings of after the baby is born were not easy. My goodness, people, being a mother when you're not ready is hard, but being a teenage mother is even harder. I mean, my mom really wanted me to go back to school. I wanted me to go back to school. So literally, I think about 4 months after the baby is born, in January of the same next year, I go back to school.
You went back to school? Wow.
Day school, so that I can be back home to care for my child.
Yeah.
But the craziness of that, I remember it and I still feel chills, because I remember my schedule would be like waking up at 3:30 to make sure that everything for the baby is prepared during the day, getting to school by 8. And you should have seen me when I was leaving the house. You know how it is. We had a house help, but they would be on and off. And everyone in my house, had their life going on. My brothers had school, my mom had work. So the baby was my responsibility. And I remember waking up in the morning to prepare myself, but also prepare the child. Nikitoka asubuhi, nilikuanga nimebeba mtoto mbele, bag ya shule nyuma, na bags za kids things.
Unaenda wapi na mtoto?
I'm going to drop off the child to their father's family in the morning, so that I go to school, and then come back, pass by there, pick all the dirty clothes and everything they have used, pick my child, go back home. I mean, there's homework to do, there's cleaning of these clothes to do. It was crazy. I feel like I survived maybe on 3 hours sleeps every day, and it was hard. You are 16, your peers are going for concerts, movies, they are living their best lives, and you're here stuck in this rat race, and it was really, really difficult. But through God's grace, I managed that. So that's my teenage pregnancy story. Let me end there. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Woo!
Wow.
We need to breathe.
That is a story right there. That is a story right there.
Yeah, so that's how my child is born.
Wow, and the child is 18 years right now.
18, y'all. 18.
Wow.
18.
It has been a journey.
It's been a journey.
I would want you to look at this camera right here and talk to that girl who is pregnant right now, or that girl who is maybe playing around right now. Talk to them, because you've had your story and they've had your story, but I want you to talk now to them on one-on-one.
Yeah. First off, the girl I'd like to talk about two. The first one is the girl who is not pregnant. The girl who is not even playing around. I want to start with that girl. I want to start with that girl because I was that girl. A lot of people assume the ones who get pregnant is because they are either promiscuous, they were playing around with boys or stuff like that. But I actually think the ones who are most vulnerable are the other girls. You know, the one who's been quote unquote living right. A lot of times I find that she's the most naive. She's the one who thinks that it takes a lot to get to this other side. And if you've had anything, that sometimes one decision or one mistake, not many, not even 3 mistakes, one mistake can potentially change the rest of your life. It took that 5 minutes, 10 minutes decision, and it turned my life around. And I want to speak to that girl to tell you that if you don't create boundaries for your life right now, one stupid 5 minutes mistake can change your life forever. So for that girl, my advice to you is begin to create boundaries and parameters around yourself as early as now. Decide who you want to be, decide where you hang out, decide protective measures of yourself in advance. Because I keep feeling like if I had decided and I had the parameter and had obeyed my mom when she said that you shouldn't visit a guy's house, that moment would not have happened because there was already a protective measure around me. But the other person, I want to talk to is the girl who's already pregnant or the girl who already has the baby. And I know it's hard, it's difficult, and I can't even say it's gonna get easier. But what I can say is, it gets better. Actually, what I can say is, it's not the end of your life. It's actually the beginning of your most beautiful life. Of course, you probably are going to have it, not probably, you're going to have it harder than your peers. You're going to have to be more resilient than your peers. But also, because of your resilience, because of how you handle the situation, you have potential to get to the other side better than your age mates. I grew up, or I matured up so much younger than others. I feel like my view for life even now is better because of that experience. I grew so much from it. I am a more patient person, more resilient person, a very strong person based on that experience. So it's not the end of your life. And God still has a plan for your life, and it's for good. And He is the one who says in Romans 8:28 that He turns around everything for our good. Yes. That the good, the bad, and ugly, God is able to turn them around for our good. Yeah. I see now how God turned what I thought was the worst season of my life. And truly it has become one of the best defining seasons of my life. So God is able to take the ugly, He's able to take the bad and turn them to your good and my good. So yeah, there is hope for you, you know. But for everyone else, I know right now I've had many girls talk about how, you know, I don't want the man, I just want the child. You know this thing I don't need any man, I just need to get a baby. I can tell you from experience, raising a child by yourself is hard. Don't go that road. Don't want to experience it for yourself. It is not just hard for you, but it is even harder for the child. Yeah.
Wow, so that is a journey right there and an experience.
Oh my God.
And I hope they've gotten to learn something.
I hope so.
Yeah, so I guess I now understand why you started God's Girls Glow.
Yeah.
Because from the experience, wow, tell us about God's Girls Glow.
Yeah, I'm passionate about girls, but because of my journey, I really feel like some of the mistakes I made in life when I was a teenager, and even later, maybe as a young adult, in my early 20s, were because I didn't have another girl I could look up to, like an older girl. Like I didn't have someone who could say, walk in this way or don't walk in that way. Someone who could hold my hand literally. And that is why God's Girl Army came from. My desire and my passion is to be able to be a voice and to be that girl for other girls. That I can say, hey, here is my life. Learn from me. Don't make these mistakes. Don't go that road. Like, you can choose a different route, but also create an opportunity for other ladies who would like to mentor other younger ladies to be able to be there for them. Like in the book of Titus, scripture talks about the older women teaching the younger women, and that is what God's Girl is about. That older women or experienced women can be able to teach younger women, and I believe together we can be able to learn so much more, and we can be able to avoid so much hurt that women go through, so much experiences that we would otherwise not have by learning from one another. So yeah, that's why God's Girl Glow, God's Girl Army is there. I have a 6-week curriculum that I take girls through and ladies through, and we really talk about things like what's our purpose, what's our identity, because once you're sure of who you are, you know, that's why I like to be called God's Girl, because the minute you know, like I know I am the daughter of God, then how I carry myself, how I hang around, where I hang around, who I am is defined by whose I am. So I feel like that's such an important thing to know as a person, or even for ladies. What is our identity? Where are we going? Why are we here?
Yeah, and I also saw that you've written books.
Oh yeah. I like that you've used plural books. Yeah, in this journey, as I've continued to learn, as I've said, my life, I live out loud, and the ultimate desire is that others can be able to learn from me. So my first love is ladies. I'm sorry guys, I love it too, but yeah, ladies. So I have my first book. I wrote it in 2020 when the world shut and we had more time, and I was like, okay, let's do this. And it's called Dear God's Girl Letters. God's Girl Letters, and it's 100 letters that I've written. Oh my God, kidogo niseme, seme. And it is a letter every day for 100 days. Really, being your big sister, sharing wisdom in those 10 days. And then the other one is a workbook that I use for the 6 weeks.
Okay. So tell us, where can they find the books? If they want to find the books and read, where can they find the books?
First, follow me, all right, guys. Follow me, Wahu Wanjiku. That is my name on all platforms. Wahu Wanjiku on Instagram, Wahu Wanjiku on Facebook. And when you follow me, you'll find a link. I put a link on how you can buy my books in all my social media platforms. But for now, you can even call me. This guy will give you my number later, or they'll put it on the screen or something. But yes, get in touch with me. You'll get it.
And on to our last question.
Okay.
If there is one thing you would wish to be remembered for, what would that be?
That I loved well. I really feel like love changes people. Love is the language that everyone understands. And my desire is everywhere I go that I'm able to fully love the ones around me. Love you, love everybody else. Like I'm able to love well. And loving means I'm able to mentor, I'm able to model, I'm able to walk, I'm able to sit with people and hear their pain. I am able to inspire. Love well.
Yeah. Oh, I had forgotten a question
What?
about you being a youth pastor. Tell us your experience about being a youth pastor, being around youths. How is it?
So, I had never envisioned being a youth pastor because I used to feel like young people are a lot. Like you guys, you are a lot of work. And in my pastoring journey, I mean for like 7.5 years, I was involved with adults. Like I pastored the older guys until activation the past 2 years. And I can confidently say that I think the past 2 years have been the most exciting. Young people are amazing. I love how authentic young people are. And if one of my virtues is authenticity, I love that young people they come as they are. And I love that we are able to talk about Jesus and learn about Jesus in authenticity. I think that's the most thing I've enjoyed. I also love the realness that comes with young people. But also, I know that young people are the future. You guys are the future. Me too, I am young, okay? Young people are the future. And if you invest in the young people, then you're investing in the future. And as one who I believe has been called to steward the kingdom of God, if I can be able to transfer kingdom to young people, I know that then kingdom continues even to the next generation. So yeah, I love it. I totally love it. I love it that I can wear my jeans and my people will not think it's okay. I can do my shorts and pastor you still. You know, I love it. I love that I can show up authentically me. So I love it.
And let me get to tell guys about activation.
I will tell them.
I happen to be a member of activation.
I will tell them about our church.
Yeah, and I love activation. One, for the fact that you belong before you behave. In that, we don't care really about who you are. You get to come to know us. You get for us to love you.
Just as you are.
Just as you are. I love that about activation. And then the love that is in activation church.
Woo! Love. Woo!
The love that is there. Yani, you get to find a community that will walk with you through the journeys of your life. Yani, at the seasons when you're up, at the seasons when you're low, when you're down, yani, they are there for you. And I love Activation Church for that. Yeah, so if you want to come to Activation Church, I will advertise at the screens down there, everything about Activation Church, and reach to us. We love you guys even before you come, because in Activation Church, we belong before we behave. Yes. And now, on to the quick fire question.
Alright.
I know inakwanga segment yenu ya kujibamba, inakwanga your favorite segments, si ndio? Pastor Wahu Wanjiku,
I am feeling nervous. What are you about to ask?
Now, on to the quick fire questions.
Alright.
And we're going to do finish the lyrics.
Oh my God.
Hata tuone kama unajua songs huku nje.
Anyway, let's do.
And one thing I know about you, I know you don't listen so much to Swahili songs.
Unataka kuniuliza Swahili?
Yeah, nataka kuuliza
zenye house. He's setting me up for failure. You're setting me up for failure.
You would fail.
Okay.
So, the first one. Bwana u sehemu yangu.
rafiki yangu wewe, katika safari yangu tatembea na wewe.
You're safe. You're safe.
That's what I knew.
That one you knew. Okay. On to the second one. Yesu Kristu akuita kuokoe.
Uachane na dhambi ya kuokoe.
Wewe unasikiza Swahili songs wewe. On to our third one. Hii nayo hautajua. Acha nitafutie English.
No, which one?
English.
Okay.
Our God is an awesome
God. He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, love. Our God is an awesome God.
Ameshine.
Kizungu hiyo ndashine sana.
Na ameshine. Now, nimeona hizo umeshine. Acha tuende kwa ingine. Inaitwa preference test.
Okay.
Now, preference test, I tell you to choose between two things, and then you give me a reason why. So, okay, one, between reading a novel and watching a movie.
Reading a novel.
Why?
Because I love to read.
Okay.
I love to read. I enjoy reading.
Go on vacation or spend time with family and friends?
I'm going on vacation. I love you, my friends and everything, but I'm going on vacation.
Tumeruko, guys.
Baby girl things. I'm going on vacation.
Cake or ice cream?
Ice cream.
Kwanza hii time simu ni ya jua.
Ice cream.
Cooking or doing laundry?
None.
Nilijua. Soft life ambassador.
I'm sorry.
None of the above. Strength of Samson or wisdom of Solomon?
Wisdom of Solomon.
You will choose like that over and over again. Name the animals or build the ark?
Build the ark.
Build the ark. Why?
Because I'm a builder.
You are a builder.
Umetujenga
by the way. Umetujenga.
I'm a builder.
Carried to heaven in a chariot now or die peacefully at an old age?
Me, I'm dying peacefully at an old age.
Utaki kuenda saa hii.
Me, I'm waiting for my honeymoon. I have dreams. I have things to do here on earth. What are you talking about?
Ala. Utapata mtu soon by the way, si ndio?
Yeah.
I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you that you get someone who matches your love and everything. Because
Amen.
Honestly, personally, I love you so much.
I love you too. Aww.
And you have been my mom. Kitu hawajui by the way. You have been my mom. You have mentored me. You're a sister to me. I love you so much.
Me, I love you too.
So we have come to the end. I have enjoyed this session.
It's the end. I have so much to tell the people. I mean, my journey has so many things.
We'll have to come back for season 2 na wewe sasa, si ndio? Episode 2 actually.
Episode 2, because we've just like talked about one thing of
your journey, si ndio? So tuko na zingine mob. So stay tuned. We will have Pastor Wahu again and again. But for now, I'm sorry to tell you this, guys, but we have to kafungia hapa. So it has been nice. Thank you for sticking with us from mwanzo to mwisho, for liking our content. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, comment down there, send love to Pastor Wahu, anawapenda sana. And even as you prepare to come to Activation Church, I have been your host, Bonfire the King. Bye.